Welcome back to the show. You know, one of the major tourist attractions in Waco is the Mammoth Site. It is a national monument. It is written about, there have been books written about it, and I am so thrilled to bring three of the key players involved with the discovery of the Waco Mammoth Site to the studio and to the show today. And so, starting right here, Paul Barron,
Hello.
who, as a teenager, found the bones.
I was 21.
Okay, all right, you weren't a teenager.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
was, I
you
was
were
a legal
close.
adult.
All
Barely,
right.
barely.
Next to him, David Linz, who was at Strecker Museum, and he's the first one who received a bone. And Calvin Smith, who has just been so integral in the documenting and just everything involved with the site. So there's a lot of history we're going to cover today, and I'm just thrilled to have you all here with me today.
Thank you.
But let's go back to 1978, Paul. You and a buddy,
Okay.
Eddie Buffkin,
Right.
and it was your sister's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Eddie was.
Yes, they were members of a band called the Wildwood Dance Band, and they had a tour in Hawaii. They were gone for 6 months.
Uh huh.
Cindy Bear.
Well, my sister just adored that place, so she wanted to keep the rent payments up and keep the place secure for when she came back home. So I was charged with going out there and keeping the grass mowed and keeping everything clean and safe and everything, feeding whatever animals were out there or whatever. And I could go out there and shoot my guns and fish and
Hmm.
just run amok, in the woods. And I enjoyed doing that. So anyway, she got home from Hawaii and she had two little boys. One was 8 and one was about 4.
Yep.
And it was a very late spring that year. I mean, it was still cold in April and May, and she had an old wood burning fireplace, hardwood floors, an old 1800s farmhouse.
Hmm.
And so I was over there. We were all visiting, welcoming her home and everything. And my wife said she noticed a snake statue by the fireplace, and she was in the kitchen talking to my sister, and she said, "I love your snake statue." And my sister said, "I don't have a snake statue." And about that time, I picked up an armload of firewood and started across the living room with it. And a copperhead jumped out. Fortunately, he jumped away from me and knocked down my shirt. But
Oh my goodness.
so I killed the copperhead on the living room floor.
Uh-huh.
And my sister was just horrified that one of her boys was going to get snake bit.
Yeah.
So she said, "I want you and Eddie to pick whatever snake and kill him." Well, that's not exactly a popular viewpoint these days, but back then, you see a snake, you killed it. That's just how we did. So,
Especially copperheads.
well, yeah, a rattlesnake.
Rattlesnake.
Yeah.
To this
Okay.
day, I'm not willing to take a chance with a diamondback with my children or my pets.
No.
So anyway, we went out, set about trying to turn over stumps and look for snakes. Well, the snakes weren't cooperating. We didn't find any. So we're still looking. We're turning over stumps and rocks, and we wind up at this creek down by the driveway. We know that the creek can't go far this way because there's a road there. We didn't know where it went the other direction, so we started the other direction. As we go, this channel just gets deeper and deeper, and the property boundary markers are up on grade, so we just go right past them, thinking we're still on the property that they're leasing.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed this abrupt texture and color change in the soil. It had been a real fat, dark clay, almost black. And then
Oh
all of a
yeah,
sudden
Blackland Prairie is
and
what
then
we're
it goes
on.
to that yellow caliche.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and there's these white projections that look like limestone poking out everywhere. Well, I wouldn't know enough about any of this except for as a teenager, my scoutmaster was a geology major, and he used to take the troop on their field trips,
Yeah.
and they would study Austin chalk formations and Balcones escarpment and down the line.
Sure.
So we knew of some of this terminology, and knew a few things to recognize or look for, and so I'm thinking that this is projections of limestone sticking out of caliche, but I'm climbing up a little elevation change, and a piece of it snaps off in my hand. Well, suddenly it doesn't have the density to be limestone.
Yeah, it
It's
felt too
just
light.
Too light, and it's porous in the middle. So I'm thinking sponge maybe. Sea sponge? I don't know. probably a marrow section of a broken bone that I'm looking at, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then I look over here and I see this sphere that's white, and it looks like the back of a human skull. And I'm like, oh no, I'm in a Native American burial ground. You know?
Wow.
So with great reverence, I went over there and excavate this round piece of bone, thinking I'm handling possible human remains, and this ball and socket joint pops out in my hand, you know, about the size of a grapefruit. I believe that was one of the things that I took to David, you know, in a cardboard box the next day. And then I look across the channel and I see this huge femur bone still sitting vertical, you know, and it's just way too big to be bovine, you know. And then I see this, probably the apex of a curve of one of the tusks, you know, like the furthest out
Just a
part.
little bit, yeah.
Yeah, the
that
tip and the root
exposed.
are still in the bank, but
Yeah.
this part I can see, you know. And I go over and I start to dig at that, and it crumbled. I was like,
Oh.
hands off, you don't want to break that, you know.
Yeah.
And I knew that I didn't have the expertise or the manpower to.
You could tell it was huge,
I would
whatever
destroy
it
it
was.
trying
yeah.
to take it, you know.
Right.
So I knew I got to leave this here and get somebody over here that knows how to get this out of the ground without ruining it, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I knew who to do that. You know, I knew who could do that. So I hustled over there.
So, David Linz, technical staff assistant at
Yes,
the
at
Strecker
the
Museum
time,
at
yes.
Baylor. And you took a box of what you were
I
able to
think I
get
had
out.
I think I had a tooth, and I think I had that ball and socket joint and
Uh-huh.
a couple of just random pieces. But you know, all the way down the creek back to the house, there were little pebbles of this white rock, and the north face would have green moss on it. And that was how I could tell it was pieces of bone. The rocks didn't have it, but the porosity of that bone was picking up the moss on the north face of all the rocks all the way back to the.
So you knew it was a big area.
A bunch of that
Huge
stuff
area.
had washed all the way down that creek.
Okay, so David, what was your reaction when you?
Well, the among the other things he had was a center section of a leg bone, and by the size of it, and like he said, it wasn't a bovid, it wasn't buffalo or cow or anything like that. It was too big.
Mm-hmm.
So my first guess and my immediate guess was mammoth, because the museum had looked for mammoths and dug mammoths over the previous years, and so we knew what they looked like.
And did you know they were here?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Well,
all
'cause
right.
we
So
dug-
that part didn't surprise you.
No, the surprise was when he said, well, there's a lot more out there. We had always tried to find one complete mammoth that we could put in the museum,
Yeah.
or and that was our goal, either lying as it was found, or that we could
Assemble it.
stand up and assemble it as a complete mammoth. That was
Right.
always a dream. And so when he said there's a lot more out there, I said, okay, when can we go? And so we went the next day.
Yeah.
I
Out.
think it was actually after lunch that day.
Well,
I
I
went to
don't
see you in the
remember.
morning. I think I went to see you about 9 in the morning.
It may have
You said,
been.
"I tell you what, I'll meet you at 1 o'clock out there."
You knew it was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was a big
It
discovery.
wasted no time.
Didn't
Yeah,
waste any
it was
time.
a major discovery.
And then on that Saturday, we started digging.
Yeah.
Got a volunteer crew together so we could kind of get an assessment of what all was out there.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they had some on the front porch in a wash tub that they'd collected downstream that had been washed out.
That were
from their
just kind of available.
Surface finds,
just
yeah.
Right.
random bones, you know.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was 1978. But it took a while to kind of get things together as far as making it be a cordoned off scientific archaeological dig.
Yes, because we weren't quite sure what we had, and we just messed around with it for I don't know how long amount of time. And this was an after hours during the
Right.
week or on the weekends. I didn't get any time off to dig or to look. So the volunteers and I just started looking to see what all we could find. And we just found more and more pieces sticking out. Like he said, there was just all sorts of parts and pieces and downstream washed out. So this was a much bigger site than what I had imagined. And when we found that third femur head, we went, uh-oh, we got a bunch of elephants here, possibly,
Yeah.
a bunch of mammoths.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Calvin, you had come to Waco with the Dr. Pepper Museum.
That's right.
Right. So how did you get involved in this mammoth thing?
Well, I didn't stay with Dr. Pepper. Foots Clements asked me to do a long-range plan and assess the original Dr. Pepper building. And I did so from August through about December of '82. And then Foots called me into his office in Dallas and said, we've had our first leverage buyout, and we can't continue with the museum at this point in time. And so it was about that time, I would say the middle part of December, that Dr. Bryce Brown, who was David's boss and my predecessor, called me in and said that he wanted to recommend me he was going to retire, and wanted to recommend me for the directorship, which I was honored. This was the oldest continuously operating museum in the state of Texas. And so it took them a little over 2 months to hire me, but I went to work for them in '83. And then sometime during late spring, early summer, David mentioned the Mammoth Site. And my background is archaeology, but I had worked with mammoths at Blackwater Draw, New Mexico, where we had found 5 mammoths and 166 artifacts in direct association with those 5 mammoths. So I got excited from the standpoint that historically we, as professionals, every time that there was 5 or so mammoths, there was humans involved. So I said, let's go, and it was the fall of that year that we got out there, and we went down the same draw that everybody had been working in and had where it was found, and we found 3 more sticking out of the back. So that made a total of 8, I believe, at that point in
Which beat
time.
what you'd done in
Well, yeah. So I was even more excited,
Yeah.
So we arranged to start working on the site from an archaeological perspective, not a paleontological perspective. And it was by March, late March, early April, May, that we actually got a datum stake in where all measurements were taken from that one point, both vertically and horizontally. So it was by all standards, we were finding more than just about anywhere else except the Hot Springs Mammoth Site in South Dakota, where they had found 50 mammoths, but it was not one event. It was through time. It was what Larry Agenbrod, who was director there, called hot rod syndrome, where young males were testing themselves and getting down into a situation they couldn't get out of.
Oh.
And but we knew we had something special, and I set up squares, 2-meter squares, and that was so that we would preserve balks between each square so that we could trace the stratigraphy from one side to the other. And we weren't getting very far. I mean, we were talking about animals that were 20 feet long and spread out. And it was a major operation. So I did away with the balks, and we just started excavation, and we started to see a similarity to what elephants do today, and that is form a protective circle around the younger ones. And so that meant that we probably had a nursery herd. And we got to, I believe, 16 by the end of that year. And it's in the book.
Yeah, we're going to get to the book.
But bottom line, that created a lot of interest within the profession. And Dr. Gary Haynes, he was then, had just gone to the University of Nevada, Reno, and he called me and said, Calvin, I heard about the site. Can you show me the site and can I come down? I said, absolutely. So he came down. Now he was then considered, and even more so now, I believe, the absolute last word on both modern elephants and prehistoric proboscideans. He had worked in Africa for both Smithsonian and National Geographic. And so he came, and by that point in time, we had probably about 10 or 12 that were exposed.
Yeah.
And he told us three things that were to actually direct our attention and emphasis. One was that it was a nursery herd, age-wise, sex-wise, and then the second thing, because we didn't have any really old animals at that point in time, because a matriarch is usually 60 years old, and the oldest animal we had was 50. And so the other point is that we didn't have any really young animals. Our oldest animal was 6, as I remember.
I think that's right, yeah.
Yeah. And so we had a nursery herd. That was big, big. The second thing that he observed was that they were under severe environmental stress. The one we were working on was a female on our left side, excuse me, and we were starting to plaster jacket the animals, and I was reaching under her left tusk so that we could wrap the material around it.
To
And I couldn't-
stabilize it so
Yeah.
it wouldn't just crumble. Yeah.
I couldn't find it. It wasn't a left tusk. I said, what's going on?
Oh,
And what it turned out to be was that she had broken off that left tusk, probably in pushing over trees. So they were under severe environmental stress. It was probably a drought. And it was, and then finally, as he left, he said, Calvin, we really need to have a symposium on this and other proboscidean finds in North America. And I said, that sounds good. And he said, well, you set it up. I have to find the money and set
oh
it
my
up.
goodness.
Calvin, didn't you tell me once that one of those adult mammoths would consume like a round bale of hay at least a day?
Probably as much as, well, they would drink about 50 gallons of water a day, and as much as 500 pounds of food a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that
So-
round bale might not be too far off from that.
Not
Yeah.
too far off. Yeah. But so I did. We did. We set up a symposium that correlated with the Texas Archaeological Society here in Waco. We hosted it, and it has since been called the Woodstock of Proboscidean Research.
That's cool.
Love it.
And it brought in people that we would have never encountered or even thought about previously. Dr. Dennis Stanford was our keynote speaker, and he was the Paleo-Indian curator of Smithsonian.
Okay.
And so it was an incredible association, and we continued to excavate, and literally we had our own flood. We had a flood there that
Which can happen.
yes, it certainly
Yeah.
can. We know that.
Yeah.
And what it did, it washed out. We knew we had another female, but she was sticking into the bank. But it washed out a juvenile on top of her tusk,
Really.
which
So
meant
she
that she
was-
was probably trying to extricate
trying to help
from
him.
whatever was there. And so Gary was extremely interested in that, but couldn't come. And then later on, I literally couldn't sleep at night thinking about, well, she was the only one that was not on the gravels of the original Bosque drainage. And so she was going up slope, and then the juvenile was on her tusk, which made it even higher up. And so I was trying to understand what was happening, and I kept thinking, well, we need to get further on up. If she was going upslope, what else is there? Where was she going? And so I brought in another one of F.M. Young's backhoes, which he accused me of wearing out 3 of them, because there was 12 feet of overburden on everything. And by the way, they were all used. But so Ralph and I cleaned off the area going that direction because it was very wooded, very just a jungle through that area.
Yeah.
Rugged.
And we cleaned that off. And so I started just a few feet, if not less, from where the juvenile was, and within 30 minutes I found a flake of bone in the bucket about that big around. And so I backed off, and Ralph and I went down, and Gary said that if he didn't get out, implying that the male of the species would be trying to save himself, that there would be a big bull in the herd.
Yeah.
Which is typical of elephants today. And so we excavated where that flake of bone came out, and it was a metatarsal, a toe bone, about that big.
Wow.
And we looked at each other and said, "There's the male."
There's
big
Papa.
boy, yeah.
Yeah, there's the one that was
Oh my goodness.
that we thought might be there but didn't know.
Yeah.
And it was a year between that date and when we got to his front part.
Was he in a slightly different strata than the
No, he was slipping down. He was was up, but he was slipping downward like this into
chronologically, it was at the same
yeah,
time.
same material. Yeah.
So it was clearly this kind of the same event
Yes. Yes.
that this had happened to. So much more we want to talk about. You mentioned F.M. Young. There were so many people in the community that helped move this whole thing forward to where we are today. But we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we will hear more about that. So stay with us. There's more of the show ahead.
With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today. At Tusain's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone anywhere. Visit Tusains.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com. Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
If your home's feeling a bit dated or you're dreaming of that beautiful outdoor oasis, I have got the team for you. Gather & Co., the family-owned remodeling pros right here in Greater Waco since 1998. Led by the Faulkner family, they specialize in stunning kitchen and bathroom makeovers. Think custom walk-in showers, sleek cabinetry, and aging-in-place upgrades for easy living. They also nail outdoor spaces with pergolas, patio covers, sunrooms, and screen rooms that turn your backyard into a year-round retreat. What sets them apart? Personalized designs, top-notch craftsmanship, and a hassle-free process for free in-home consultations to spot-on completion, plus financing options to make it simple. Customers love them, raving about the friendly crew and attention to every detail. Ready to gather in your dream home? Call Gather & Co. today, 254-759-1147 for a no-obligation quote. Visit GatherCoRemodeling.com. Your remodel starts here. And welcome back. We are here with Calvin Smith, Paul Barron, and David Linz, some of the key players in the whole mammoth saga. And Calvin, you were sort of mid-story talking about
Yes.
discovering the bull, which was kind of a big deal in putting together the story of what happened, 70,000 years ago?
Yeah, I need to mention that before I go any further, because the objective in any site like this is to get a date.
Yeah.
And not uncommonly, when you're dealing with animals this far back, age-wise, you don't have a whole radiocarbon date to use because it's been leached out. But we cast as I remember, a humerus and sent it to SMU to get a carbon date. And Dr. Haas, who was there then, actually got enough, he thought at least, enough material to give us a date of about 28,000. And the new date, which has been put forward, is an OSL date, which you take an example or a sample of the soil immediately around the bone material called the matrix, and then you expose it to light for the first time since it was deposited. And they're getting somewhere around 62 to 70,000 years old. And from my recent research, I found that most of those dates are older than what they actually are, but there's still a broad spectrum there of difference. But back to the bull, we finally got to his head, and I say we. Actually, Ralph Vincent, who is now deceased, a wonderful man, POW in Germany during World War II, could go on and on. But he put in, on paper that we know about, 14,000 hours of time out there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when Ralph, got to the front end of this bull, there was a juvenile on top of his tusk.
So you knew
So that
he was,
ties the event together.
Right.
yeah, that he was trying to
Those
lift that
ownership
baby
there
to
too.
safety.
Yeah. So it became even more important, and Gary came down this time. He
First
called.
time I've heard this.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty awesome.
Gary came back, and he aged the bull at 50 as well,
Okay.
which was not unusual, but it could have been older. I mean, the animal itself could have been older. And so that put us at about 22, 3 animals. And so we kept digging around the area, and there was a female that was up in the very upper portion. And all of this is going upward from the original group. And we left her in the bank with only her head and tusk sticking out because we wanted to show in the long run how we excavated and what the amount of material on top of them was. Mm-hmm. So it was that was planned in, and all along we recognized it as being important enough to preserve in situ, or just like it was, with a cover, and so that it could be interpreted as such. And if it hadn't been for our dear friend and congressman,
Chet.
Chet
Edwards,
yeah.
we probably wouldn't have had that, because he arranged for me to come and testify to a congressional subcommittee of the Department of Interior about its importance. And I'll tell you, that was an experience, because you sitting there and all these people are around asking you questions, and there's a little box in front of you, and if that green light's on, you just kept talking, and if the yellow light comes on, you better
Wrap it
shut
up.
up. But it was approved to be investigated by the National Park System.
Right.
And
Which was huge.
that made the difference. George McDonnell and DRC, young lady. At that point in time, I had retired from Baylor and had a home in Colorado, and they came to see me. And I gave them a lot of background slides that I had, and that was the result.
Yeah. Well, so many folks, Sam Jack McGlasson,
Yeah.
his role in this, providing, just kind of granting the land,
Yes,
access to the property.
He knew at that point in time that his days were limited, and he on his deathbed he said, "I want to give this to me personally, so that it would be saved." And I said, "No, I would like to give it to the city because we have grants that are available through the city." And he was reluctant, but did so, and that was he said, "Go out and stake out what you need to save the bone bed," and it was 4.93 acres.
That's a big area.
That was Dr. Havlicek? Or?
No.
He had bought it. That was Sam Jack.
Sam
had bought
Jack.
it.
Okay,
Sam
yeah.
Jack McGlasson.
I knew of his involvement. I knew he was the one that deeded it to the city.
Yeah, and of course it was a joint thing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Baylor was involved. I mean, of course, it's brilliant having a university with the resources there as well, Dr. Linz. I mean, isn't that, how this has worked out so well?
Yes, and because we worked on it, I dug out there 22 years, and I want to stick in something here. Before Calvin came, we had quit.
Yeah.
We had quit digging. I couldn't get volunteers to go out there for hours at a time, and hot and cold, and so we had quit.
Yeah.
And that was about in '81, and the site just sat out there.
Yeah.
We'd go out. I'd go out maybe once every couple of months and just look. But until Calvin came and expressed an interest in the archaeology of the site, the site would have disappeared. Would have never happened.
No,
None of this would be here. But like I say, because we had gotten tired and quit on it, and if Calvin hadn't resurrected it, because of his archaeological interest, the site would not be here.
Well, and so you and Calvin did a history of the Waco Mammoth Site.
Yeah, we thought the early story should be told and printed out. We had so many pictures and photographs and drawings. We thought we ought to put the history down on paper.
Yeah.
The early history.
Well, and you've won an award. In fact, just read the 2025 Publication Awards just in March.
From the San Antonio
From San
Conservation.
Antonio, the San Antonio Conservation Society for your book. And this is available. Folks can get a copy
Yes,
of this
it
book.
should be at the Mammoth site.
It is. at the
Okay,
site,
right.
yeah.
This, though, is entitled In Pursuit of a National Monument. Wow. So that National Monument designation has been so crucial because it does bring the National Park Service in to the whole thing. But yet there were so many people who raised money to help build the structure around it, to protect the site. And they're all chronicled.
Yes.
Yes.
Gloria Young picked up the banner.
Yeah.
And then Gail Lacey came in and carried it from that point forward. There's just, it was such a community effort that it's hard to imagine how many people were really involved.
Yeah, and here we are now celebrating the 10th anniversary of its designation as a national monument.
And I've written a book as well. I'm looking for a publisher right now.
Okay.
But it's a children's book. So, and I was inspired to do so by going to the site and the bright-eyed children that come up to me with their wondering eyes and questions,
Yeah.
And I thought, because that was the thing that touched my heart when I found it, is children need to be able to see this over the coming generations, And so I've written a book to try to inspire children to keep their eyes open. And if you see something you don't understand, stop and question it. and maybe you'll find a treasure too,
There you go.
Good.
So, and then for years, my wife has been telling me, Paul, you ought to write a book.
Yeah.
So I'm going to write another book, and that'll be my ought to biography.
Okay. Well, we were talking before we began our recording session that there was about 19 years that nobody knew the story about you and Eddie finding this stuff.
Well,
it just sort of got lost in the shuffle.
It was unfortunate because someone came down there soon after I came to visit David and found out where the site was, and they came down there with a chisel and hammer and tried to rob some stuff.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, I say tried to. I think they did rob some stuff. And I can understand why they would think it was us because we were the other people that knew where it was. But honestly, it wasn't us. We had as he said, a washed tub full of stuff already. But it kind of made us persona non grata because they thought we were stealing. And I understand that. But the truth of the matter is we weren't. And eventually we were brought back into the fold, so...
Well,
those are all bygones, and nobody's mad about it
okay.
no more.
And but the recognition that is well deserved because you told me Eddie was kind of like, it's a cow bone, don't bother with it, and you're saying I don't think so, Eddie.
Well, I think I said something on the order of, okay, Eddie, look at this leg bone and let's put the steaks back on there. Have you ever seen a bull that big? And he's like, well, no.
Well, as I say, the rest is history in that, but so much effort, so much study, so much expertise has gone into preserving that site and creating the story for all of us to enjoy about these giants that roamed this area so many years ago. And not just mammoths, too.
That's right. Yeah, there we found a large turtle, which was way above them. But then within the process of all this, there was a juvenile saber tooth, the tooth itself, and a camel.
A camel?
Yes.
That was the thing that struck me. Now, if you find camels and turtles in the same neighborhood, the Texas weather changes pretty frequently.
That's true, and it did, yeah.
Well,
the camels were part of the Pleistocene environment, along with bears and direwolves and giant bison, and so that's what you'll have to come and see.
Yeah. Well, and if folks have not made the trip out to see it, they must do that because it is still very much a working site.
Oh, yeah.
There is a paleontologist on staff, which I think there are only maybe 2 or 3 in the whole nation at a Park Service facility, and Waco has one of them because of the seriousness of this find. Just your thoughts about.
Well, that is one of the things, the preservation of the site and the ongoing research. That's one of the things we always wanted to happen.
Yeah.
That research would continue. There's just years and years of it out there still that can be done.
I understand every time it rains hard, people go out and start looking to see if more.
Well, yeah.
Before that shelter was built, and I was actually back in the fold, I remember rainy nights looking at the ceiling thinking, oh, man, I hope it's not washing away.
Yeah.
I hope they're not losing stuff,
Yeah, because you've known all these years what's there.
I got into that where I was a construction inspector, and I wanted the job to be the owner's representative when Mazzanic was building that structure, so that if they came up out of a foundation hole with bone on the bit, I could shut it down, and keep stuff from getting destroyed. But looking back, I understand why they didn't, because they would have never got that shelter built.
Yeah, there was bones everywhere.
Because if that bit came up with bones on it, we weren't going to drill that hole,
Yeah, they're everywhere. Well, it is a remarkable site. It is truly a historic find, and just your closing thoughts on being a part of this huge section of Waco history. We'll start with David.
Well, I sometimes think it hasn't sunk in yet.
Really?
Just because of the number of hours and years that we spent early on, and for it to become what it is now,
Yeah, pay off,
it's hard to make that connection.
Yeah.
And so I just shake my head every time I'm out there and go, look at this. Look at what all is here and what it's become. And
Yeah.
so it's hard to imagine from time to time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Paul?
Well, I'm just so blessed and highly favored. You know, I mean, I'm nothing special. I'm not that bright, not that pretty, but the Lord got favor on me, and He puts me in places where good things happen to me, and that was just one of them.
You made yourself available.
Hey,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, I think that the one thing is that the Lord put a curious nature in me. Some people would have thought, hey, the color's different, no big deal, and kept walking. I was the guy that's like, well, the color's different, why?
Why?
What happened, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you
So-
go.
Well, bless you for that. All right, Calvin, last word.
Well, you know, I once we established the fact that we had a national monument, which was what we said we wanted to happen, something along that line. And I said, once they put that airhead on the gate, it'll make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And I predicted that they would have 100,000 visitors a year,
Yeah.
and it does.
And they're hitting
And
pretty
it
close.
does.
They're hitting pretty close to that, yeah.
Well, it has meant so much to the city of Waco, but to the whole, wealth of knowledge that we have now about the behavior of these animals. And of course, the Strecker Museum is still highly involved with it because actual bones are still stored there.
In
right?
the new Mayburn.
In
yeah.
the new Mayburn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm just totally in your debt, all three of you. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today to tell this story. We've done 2 or 3 shows now on the Ann Harder Show about the National Monument, the Waco Mammoth Site, because it's so important. But you guys really, you knew where the bodies were buried, as they say.
Yeah.
Thank you
I just
all.
didn't know how to get them out. You know?
That's right. It just took a while to get them out. Oh, thank you all so much. Stay with us. There is more of the show ahead.
Cycles identifies your fertile window by analyzing changes in your temperature. Just measure in the morning, add your temperature into the app, then learn which days you can and cannot get pregnant. It's that easy. Learn more at naturalcycles.com.
Stay with us. There's more of the show ahead. Elizabeth Riley has your Act Locally news. Today's show is brought to you by Gather & Co., your resource for fabulous home remodeling. Stay with us.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
I am obsessed with helping business owners increase their traffic and turn it into profit through the power of Pinterest marketing. It's this amazing platform where people are looking for ideas, inspiration. They have a problem and they're actively looking for.
Apollo Neuro is a new kind of wearable that helps your body recover from stress, that helps you calm down and feel better. You sleep better, and you can get back to being yourself. Learn more at apolloneuro.com.
Cultural Arts Waco is bringing you the Retro Runway today. Strutting back through decades of fashion, and you're invited. Get ready for a fabulously fun fashion event showcasing vintage styles from the swingin' 60s, groovy 70s, and the glam 80s, all in support of the Yellow Cottage Kitchen. Baylor Counseling Center is introducing a therapy group called Unstuck, Living Beyond OCD, to help students break the cyclical symptoms of obsessive-compulsive disorder in an open and informative environment. According to the Counseling Center website, Unstuck meets on Fridays from 1:30 to 3 p.m. starting this week, September 26th. If you're interested in learning how to live, cook, and eat well, the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service is hosting a 4-part series on cooking well with diabetes in Waco on October 2nd. This 4-course lesson is meant for those who live with diabetes and those who cook for them, and it teaches you the basics of nutrition to help manage your life and make friendly meals. It will be held from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. every Thursday from October 2nd through the 23rd at the AgriLife Extension Office in McLennan County at 4224 Cobbs Drive. It's only $25 to enter, but be sure to register before September 30th. I'm Elizabeth Riley with your Act Locally Waco News, and I'll see you next time.
Welcome back to the show. There is an amazing, wonderful event coming up, and it is for La Puerta. Abre la Puerta. It isn't my Spanish wonderful, my pronunciation, but I am so excited to have Marianne Hill with me again. Last year, you were here on the show talking about this very same event, and Alyce Beard. Alyce.
Hi, Ann. How
It
are
has
you?
been a hot minute since you and I got to speak on this podcast. I think we decided we were recording these things over on Franklin Avenue,
Right.
about maybe almost 6 years ago. Anyway,
Maybe
all that
so.
to say, it's been too long. It's been too long, but it was wonderful bumping into you. Really, will you both really at an event for Chief Justice, for Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who was in town.
Wonderful event.
I know, and you reminded me. You say, "Oh, we've got Abre la Puerta fundraiser coming up again." Now, last year it was in the Hurd Center.
That's correct. It was at the Hurd for the
It
first
was a
time.
little later. It was like in November.
Yes, we did it late in November last year, but we tried this year to move it to correspond with Hispanic Heritage Month,
Which is wonderful.
mid-September to mid-October. So that's why we're early October this year.
Okay, and again at the Hurd Center on October 9th, and it is a middle of the day thing. Well, 10:30 gathering. There's going to be a raffle and a silent auction, lunch and programs at 11:30. Tell me, what is La Puerta?
La Puerta is a nonprofit organization started actually at First Baptist Church Waco. Our Spanish pastor and his wife began to see needs among their own congregation, and they began to try to meet those needs. There were needs that had to do with education. They kind of divided it into education, advocacy, and accompaniment. They tried to meet some of the needs for education with ESL classes, GED classes, cosmetology classes, sewing classes, practical ways for people to improve themselves.
You can get a job,
And then they felt like if they could teach life skills to our Spanish-speaking neighbors, that they would be able then to enrich their own lives, raise their families in a healthy way, and eventually pass that along to the next generation. So these are all people that are really wanting to better themselves and to become good citizens and to contribute to our society and to their own families. And so we do that. One of the other things they discovered was that sometimes there were agencies that were available to help these people, but because of the language barrier, they could not get to them. And so Israel Lawachman and his wife Emily began to bridge those gaps and create ways for them to get to those services that they needed. So quickly, as you can imagine, especially with COVID coming, it began to spread into the entire community because the need was so great. So now, even though First Baptist is still heavily supports the organization, it mainly does the basics. And the ministries are so broad that we now have spread into the community trying to raise funds for the ministries.
Well, and also, I mean, as far as a physical location, the First Baptist is
Yes,
giving
we give them space. That's a part of what First
Sure.
Baptist Church does,
Right.
is provide space for their offices.
Yeah, they're at 500
500 Clay.
Avenue.
Yes.
Alyce,
Yes.
you and your wonderful husband Steve, are one of the major sponsors of this event. I mean, very generous sponsorship. What led you to
Wow.
do this?
Well, even though La Puerta started in 2017, it actually has a history that goes back much further. My parents moved to Waco in the 1970s, and there was an organization of ladies at First Baptist Church that once a week met with the Hispanic neighbors of First Baptist, taught them English long before ESL was ever
Right.
an acronym to be used, and taught them sewing. So that was the basis of it from 40 and 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And my mother was really heavily involved and enjoyed that so much. And I used to come occasionally to help them out. So I have a heart for it, seated way back from many years ago. But also, it really, the whole objective, the whole message of La Puerta really touched Steve and I deeply. We're very, very supportive and interested in our Hispanic community. They are our fastest growing numbers in not only Texas, but the United States. So it's very important that these become our future lawmakers, our future citizens, our future leaders. And we want to establish them not only in the language, but the culture, help them with their finances, their parenting, everything, even to a yoga class. And by the way, one thing that wasn't mentioned, all of these classes, we do provide childcare for the parents
Important.
while the kids, the kids are in childcare while the parents are in classes. So it was something that touched our heart, and the fact that it was local really, really interested us. We are strong believers in the mission field, but like to reach out to our closest missions, which are our neighbors first.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Your format a little different than last year. You had a keynote speaker, but
Yes.
you're going to have a panel. Tell about that.
Yes, we're going to have a panel. People keep saying to us, we want to hear from the people that are touching the people.
Yes.
So we decided this year that we would have some of the people that actually have invested their time. We have Dr. Esparza Ochoa from Baylor University, a research professor who teaches our citizenship classes 2 nights a week. He's given of his time for 6 years now to do that, a volunteer.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that's most important to our people is earning their citizenship. The beautiful thing about La Puerta clients is they all are eager to better themselves. Then we have reached into the community outside of just classes at First Baptist Waco, and we have established some ESL classes outside of our walls. We are going to Chick-fil-A on Franklin. Jake Roy, the owner there, said, do you ever do classes remotely? And we said, we can. So
Let us figure that out.
yes. So now we are doing classes there regularly for their employees
Wonderful.
at Chick-fil-A. And we are about to start another one of those classes at First Baptist Church Clifton, a little ways out of
Okay,
Waco.
yeah.
They expressed an interest. And so we have established a teacher to do that. Then one of our main goals is we to make people mentally healthy, and which is such a need in our world today. And we have a counselor who is a professional, Veronica Molina. She is a professor at MCC, and she actually has a counseling office at La Puerta. We're one of the few places in Waco that offers counseling in Spanish. And even Waco Family Medicine sends people to us all the time.
Okay.
Because she does such a wonderful job, and it's a need just like it is in any community. And then we have a real treat in that we have the first male graduate from our GED program that will be talking to us about his experiences in getting his GED and what it has done for him. And the most fun thing, we have Pat Nunley, who is going to do our interviews.
That's wonderful.
And
yeah.
Pat's just so good at it, and
Yeah.
and will do such a good job. And
Yeah.
so we're so excited to have Pat with us to tie all that together.
Oh, it's going to be just such a great event. Jorge's is doing the food.
Yes, they are.
George's.
We felt like that was just, they've been a wonderful support for La
Yeah.
Puerta. The Georges, Kyle and
Oh, yeah.
Sammy have just been wonderful. So we're excited to get to use them this year to do our catering. And
Yeah.
we've tasted the food, and it's going to be wonderful.
Oh, I know it's going to be great. And you have some great items, the silent auction items. You got a year's membership, a family forward at the Cameron Park Zoo, condo on Anna Maria Island in Florida. Wow.
Sounds good.
2-night stay in one of 3 coaches' quarters luxury tree houses, Brazos River evening cruise for 8. I mean, just so many wonderful things. So you need to get your tickets so you can go to Abre la Puerta, which will be October 9th at the Herd Welcome Center at Baylor. Such a wonderful venue, easy to park, easy to get to.
Exactly.
So how can folks get tickets? Marian?
Well, they can go to our website, the Abra La Puerta website. Just go to La Puerta Waco, and there will be a button that says donations and events. And so you punch that, and it'll take you right to the registration. Individual tickets are $75. Part of that, of course, is a donation,
Obviously.
and part of it is admission to the program and the event for the day. Or you can be a sponsor. We'd love to. We still have rooms for sponsors. Our sponsorships start with a $15,000 diamond sponsorship, and goes to $10,000 for a gold sponsorship, and then $5,000 for silver, and $2,500 for bronze. Or you can be a table sponsor for $1,000 and invite 8 friends to come with you.
Well, it's going to be a great event, and Alyce, it's got to be so heartwarming to you
It
to realize
is.
you
It
and
is.
Steve
We
are
feel
helping
blessed.
in such a tangible way.
We are so grateful to Steve and Alyce for what they've done for us, and they've given us a challenge as well. And so we're working really hard to meet that challenge. And so we're very, very grateful to them for stepping up.
Yeah, yeah.
Very much
Well,
so.
this is going to be great, and I appreciate you both spending some time here with me on the show, because I just love this event, and I'm so happy that I bumped into you. We were able to do that. All right, thank you.
Thank you,
you,
Anne, for
Anne.
having us. We appreciate
you.
it.
Send money abroad in just a few steps with Remitly. Sign up with your email, enter an amount, choose how your loved ones receive the money, enter your recipient's information, select a payment method, hit send, and relax. Download the Remitly app today.
A house is a property, but we live in homes. Home sweet home. Homes where the heart is. We aim to deliver the best home buying and selling experience so you can spend less time real estating and more time living.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels. Visit OpenGOAAALUSA.com and elevate your training today.
At Mitzi, we believe the right light can transform any space. Mitzi has the perfect design for you. Beautiful, well-made lighting without the high price tag. Discover your perfect light at Mitzi.com. That's MITZI.com. Mitzi.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated. Each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.